What's up, YouTube? Una here to bring you another video, and today let's tackle the controversy, quote unquote, it's a sensitive subject if you will, about the Jedi Ray training event coming back with only 3 days notice. I won't say, I'm not going to take sides. I'm not going to say, yes, it was okay to, spring this. I'm not going to say, no, it was not okay. I'm not going to say, yes, you should have been working on this in advance. I'm not going to say, CG, you need to give an advance notice. I'm going to try to stick to a factual review about how, as a free-to-play player, that you can be better prepared for legendaries. My history is I have nailed and gotten every single legendary event as a free-to-play player. With the exception of Chimera. I missed the Chimera completely, and I got all of them 7-star except Thrawn, who I only got 5-star, and that was a decision I made at the time. So I've been very successful at prepping for legendaries. I'm going to tell you, 1, what you need for Rey, and then 2, what you need to be thinking about for how to prepare for legendaries in the future. So first of all, the prep for Rey, the hard part is really just getting the stars. When you look at all the units, they all have to be 7-star. Okay, some people are like, well, you don't have to use, veteran Han in the later stages. Does he still need to be 7 stars? Yes, they all have to be 7 stars. In fact, even on stage 2, they have to be 7 stars. You'll see from the screenshot here. But what you'll need is basically gear 8. Okay, and even that is kind of aggressive. That's assuming that you have some good mods that you can move around. You'll see in this, as I play this video in the background, I auto staged 1 through 4. 5 I failed on, and I only shifted mods for 2 units. And that was Rey, that I put a 216, 78 speed critical damage set, and I put my fastest speed set at the time, which was 109 plus speed on Chewbacca, because Chewbacca was really helpful with like the stuns. And I don't know, I thought Chewbacca was useful for this event. Everyone else just stayed with their slow mods basically. And then it's basically an auto win for 6 and 7. So it is not hard. This is a really easy event considering it came out when Gear 12 was available. So the fact that you only really needed Gear 8 is not bad. And then if you're going to slack on someone, slack on Veteran Smuggler Han. He's really not used much in this event at all. He could probably be 7. And if you're having issues, move arena mods around. Like I said, I really had doo-doo mods on these units. Like we're talking 30, 40, 50 speed, and I still flew through this event on my second try after I moved mods to give Rey 216 crit. That's the best tip I can give you, is give Rey 216 crit, make Finn really, really fast, a little bit potent, and that's all you need. My Finn was Zeta, but you don't need Finn Zeta for this. It only nominally helps. So if you're stressed about the gear, don't. Just get these units to 7-star is your most useful piece of advice that I can give you. And then when it comes to actually playing the event, I found that tier 5 was the only hard one, but what I typically did was those riot first order stormtroopers is I would try to basically stun them with Chewbacca or with Finn, because they're the ones that give the protection up. They've got some turn meter manipulation that honestly you want to take them out. Obviously there is some taunt mechanism too, which also gives up a lot of protection, but honestly the mechanics were not hard to figure out for this, that I don't think you're going to have too much of a problem. You might be tempted to go after the first order TIE pilots. I found at Gear 8 that it was a lot easier just to take out those riot troopers, because that took away some of the turn meter advantage and it took away some of the protection up stuff, and it just made the event easier. So that's my opinion, is go after the riot troopers first and actually the TIE pilots second, which seems kind of counterintuitive. But honestly, that's it for the event, guys. You're going to unlock Rey real easy if you get the 7 stars. You get him up to Gear 8, and if you need to move some arena mounts around, go for it. I really only did 2 units, and that was Finn and Rey, and I didn't even put really arena mods on there. I think I only got Rey up. Well, I'll pull up mods later so you can see it, but it wasn't hard. Now, when it comes to preparing for these events, I'm going to say this is going to be your free-to-play guide for how to prepare for these events. This has been very successful for me, and I'm hoping to share it with you guys. But I'm reading a book right now called Artemis. It's kind of by the follow-up book after The Martian, which was very, very popular. But there's a line that stuck out with me, and the main character said the moon, because it takes place on the moon, is a cold-hearted bitch. Okay? And you can think about that in multiple ways, but the reality is when you think about what the moon is it's not mean, it's not malevolent. It is what it is, and you can get in trouble very, very quick with it. And I feel like that's what you need to look at with CG. We can put like, oh, they're trying to screw us over. Oh, they're trying to do these bad things, but it doesn't matter. You have to be prepared for what CG could potentially throw your way. The reality is you'll never be able to do it with 100%, particularly as free to play. But there are some particular strategies that you can do that are within your control, and you can bitch as much as you want about CG and try to influence them, but those things are out of your control. So let's focus on what's in your control for the purpose of this video. Okay, so first off, I hear a lot of like, so I've run newer player guilds and stuff like that, and it's really interesting to see how they view the game versus how later game players view this. If you think waiting for the requirements to be published, or if you think waiting for here's the date that this event is going to come back, you've already set yourselves up for failure. I'm going to say that again. If you think that you deserve and will know the dates of when stuff comes, and if you think that you will have enough time to farm things for said event, you have already failed when it comes to planning for these events. Okay, so particularly with Rey and Luke, we were given a couple of key units, like you're told Scavenger Rey is going to be needed, and particularly when it comes to the storyline behind these, you have to look at what characters were involved, and there's obviously a lot of speculation with that. Usually there's some pay-to-play characters that are going to go free-to-play that you basically need to panic farm right away, so that's a pattern that you need to look for. That, like, let's say there's going to be a First Order, legendary event comes up. What would be the free-to-play player that's about to be released that you could really just grind hard on? For example, the First Order Executioner is coming out soon. There's no rumors. I doubt there's going to be a legendary event coming up soon. But if I thought that there was going to be some type of like a Villain's Fall or something like that story, I would be hitting First Order Executioner pretty hard right away. Okay, but the first thing you need to do to be successful is to stop listening for those hints, and to stop listening for the dates to be announced, and it is to start saving. And I think you need to have about 20k of every single currency. That means the Galactic War, that means the arena tokens, that means the guild coin store, and that is super hard because you feel like you're doing your guild a disservice by saving up and not actually investing in the units and spending the units that you currently have. And I would say for crystals, you'd want at least 10k. But you are doing a disservice if this amazing unit comes out and you don't have that unit, right? So Rey was coming out, and I think some people thought like, oh, she looks bad. And I remember when I initially recorded like my live reaction to doing this event, that I was basically saying, no, Rey is awesome. You guys are misunderstanding the turn meter gain that BB-8 is going to give, basically with that potency up buff. But, a lot of guilds, particularly in the bracket that I'm in, like, the 120 to 140 bracket for Territory Wars, you only have maybe, on average, it's between 10 and 17 or so. I think our guild's on the higher end with 21 Jedi training rays. You're doing your guild a disservice by not being able to use those units in those fights. I don't care if you like them or not. Like our leader, Adigan, he went and got Rey because he knew she'd be important. He doesn't even use her. He uses Akbar in Arena because he enjoys Akbar. That's fine, but you need to have a lot of times these units that are super, super powerful for just general gameplay, but as well as for these raids, when they come out and content comes out, you might need them, and you might need them to really smash that event, which I know you're going to want to do for your guild. So first of all, any legendary, any heroic event, if it's unlocked 5 through 7 or 7-star only, you want that character. Okay, don't just ignore the character for fun. You're going to want to get it for the future. And I know as new players come along, you want to get the in-game content, but this is going to be... I can't create a speech for all of you, so let's talk about people that are ready to approach end-game content. So the first thing you need to be doing is saving about 20k, 10k crystals, 20k of all the currencies, of everything, so that when these free-to-play or pay-to-pay units go free-to-play, that you're able to basically bum rush them. You're ready. You're not freaking out. You're not panicking. You're ready to hit those. If you've got Arena under wraps, you're finishing and getting at least 300 crystals a day from either Fleet or either from regular Arena, you should be able to achieve this goal, right? So the goal is to stockpile for these situations, okay? The second thing is once you know the requirements and they're published, you need to be hitting those hard. Even if you miss, don't stop. You need to keep going after and be ready for when they return, because you don't know what else is going to drop. You don't know what other content, what other things are going to be needed. Get that stuff out of the way so that when the event comes back, you are ready, and you are ready to hit that event on full cylinders so that you're ready to go. That happened with Luke. That's going to happen with Rey this time. There's people that aren't ready. You have got to be ready for these events when the requirements are known. So 1, save currency. 2, you've got to, once you know requirements, you have got to hit these legendaries. I'm going to say 3 is in terms of prepping for the future, let's go through the list of what factions exist in terms of droids, in terms of clones, in terms of Ewoks. Typically this game is kind of a collection game, so they're going to be pushing you to try factions that you don't typically go after. So when it came to Resistance, when it came to First Order, one of the ways that I got ahead is I went through these lists, and I think you guys should do that too. Look at your Geonosians, right? Look at your Separatists. How many do you have? Do you have 5, 7 stars? Because the reality is you're going to want to, as you get that currency backlog, you're going to want to start investing in each of these factions, I believe, to be prepared for these events, right? Because all of a sudden, let's say they release some new Geonosian or they release some new droid that's going to reinvigorate the droids. You want to have the backbone behind that ready for that event to be able to pull it off. I know it was really exciting to hear rumors about Sith Trooper, about Sith Assassin, but that's still rumors, guys. What you might want to do is say, okay, that's a rumor and that's exciting, but you don't know what's happening. At least with the requirements that are known about Rey, you need to go after those and be prepared for her return before you start the speculation train on what's coming. Because guess what? Revan never happened, and no one knows that. But you shouldn't have started Revan if you hadn't finished Rey yet at that point, in my opinion. As a free-to-play player, this is what's helped me to be prepared for these events as they come back, basically. Because when I started, it was basically right when the Palpatine event was live, and I knew I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I have my arena taken care of first. My next order of business is I need to make sure that I have Palp ready, and that really helped out for Hat launch, right? Because when Hat came out, Palpatine was huge for Phase 3. You needed Palpatine in order to do Hat, in order to get your guild there. It's the same thing with Rey now. Rey, we didn't know was going to be amazing, but you had to, going to be planning and preparing for these amazing units, not only for territory wars, but to be able to take down future content, such as now this Sith raid. So always go after the legendaries. Always make sure you're ready. If you, get that currency ready so that you can bank it and go after the pay-to-pay to free-to-play players when there's rumors. Make sure that you don't miss legendaries and that you're ready for the return. Go through your list of all of your factions. Make sure you get 3 to 4, at least 7-star. Try to get 5, 7-star so that you're prepared for that when these launches do happen. That was the lesson I learned from the Chimera, because the Chimera came out and I looked at my ships and I was like, oh, I'm short a rebel ship, and 2 of them, the Bistan and the, I think it was Cassian's, which was the new one that was pay-to-pay going to free-to-play. There's that pattern again. I wasn't prepared for the Rebel faction, and I completely missed the Chimera. So that's what made me realize that you need to go through all of your factions and say, do I have at least the stars? The gear tend to be pretty easy. I'm going to warn you right now, we're at 12. We're probably going to see a 13. We're probably going to see a level cap at some point in the future, particularly with how hard the Sith raid is. As a result of it going up to 13, you might see future legendaries start to be focused towards Gear 9, because right now they're focused towards Gear 8, and Cap has specifically said that the way that these events are designed are to be a couple of steps down from max gear. So, again, as this max gear cap rises, make sure you're prepared for that 8 to 9 hump, which is typically some raid gear. So you need to start stockpiling some raid gear for these emergency farms in case that we need to go to 9 with some of these units in order to do some of this. So I'm just going to call it out now. People are going to freak out that they need to be 9. It's harder, but they've already painted it on the walls as to what's going to happen. So again, I'm not going to say you can get everything as free to play, but I feel like by stockpiling, by diversifying your faction distribution, making sure you're on top of arena, then comes the stockpiling, then comes the preparation for basically the skeleton of all the different factions that they could be in. You're going to be prepared for what is ultimately the cold-hearted bitch of CG. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to take sides that I know that they're going after cash or that I know that they're going after money for this. The reality is we knew the requirements. And we know Rey is required, so I guess they were getting pressure to push Rey out because Rey seems so required for this raid. So whether they did it just to be nice to give us that, or whether they're trying to screw over people by not giving them time to prepare, You know, I will never know the answer to that, but what you do have control over is looking at your resources, managing those resources, and trying to diversify to be prepared for those pay-to-pay to free-to-play faction passes, as well as being able to panic farm for these legendary events. It's worked out very, very successful for me, and I'm hoping, you know, I rambled here for a little while, but I'm hoping some of this sank through for you guys, that whether you decide to quit, whether you decide, you know, CG's horrible, or whether you decide, hey, I want to know how to better prepare my roster for future legendaries, hopefully this has helped you with some of the advice in terms of how to go after it. So with that, guys, you know, good luck. Again, the hard part of Ray is just the stars. The gear's a joke. You could do it real easy. So if go to, so first of all, let me give you a link too. So if you guys didn't know about this panic farm calculator right here, it's amazing at being able to tell you how many refreshes a day and how many shipments you need to buy. I think just to share my experience with you, when I was doing the vets, because that's a 16 energy node, I was doing 3 or 4 refreshes a day, and eventually I started buying shipments as well. I had 8k crystals save. I finish 1 through 4 in arena every day, and I don't finish anything in fleet because my fleet is just uber whales, and I ain't got time for that with my family and all. So with that, I was able to, with 8k crystals, 20k currency, it was no problem getting the vets and being able to get Ray, help my team out with TW, and be prepared for the Sith raid. Hopefully you guys are looking at being able to stay ahead for future content in that regard. So with that, guys, you know, good luck. You know, it's a cold-hearted bitch, man. You're not going to be able to get it all, but I wish you guys good luck. Una out. About how as a free to pay. Oh my god, honey, this is your fault. This is obviously CG's fault. I can't say this correctly. They didn't give me advance notice about how to pronounce this word.